Hey everyone, it's Leandra at the Lexington facility for New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program. Today for our Trainer Tip Tuesday, I am riding a very new horse in our training program whose name is More Moet, Please. And she just got here last week. She had 8 starts in the track. Most recently, she raced in June at Churchill Downs. So if you were watching the Kentucky Derby, that's the same place where she was racing. Not in the same race, but the same location. And this 4-year-old mare, she's around 16'1", maybe a little taller. She's all legs, she's still growing. So I just hopped on her. It's the first time I've been on her here. And she definitely is an energetic mare. She's still working up in our turnout program, really. So we start them in the round pens and we work them up to bigger size turnouts and more time in turnout. And in doing so, a lot of times they will expel a lot of the excess energy, which can make it easier to work with them in training. If they have more focus or they're a little more tired, they can just kind of get out the sillies before. But we are just working with her kind of raw right now. She will sway in her stall, so I wanted to see how she would focus if we put a little more work in her with this type of horse who's a little more anxious. Certainly the turnout's going to help, but I really want to be able to create this bond with her under saddle, get her to focus a little bit more here, and I think benefit her mentally. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, no matter what horse you're on, something that I heard Rich say in a master class that Noel puts together. He was talking about your price, really, but I sort of was thinking about it and expanding on that. I think it's a really good thing to focus on, and I've noticed with my own horse, even, who I've had in work for 9 months or so now, so he's not like right fresh, but so even so, like I have a pretty good handle on him, and I've noticed huge improvements in just really simple concept. So what I was working with him on was, because he's a little more sluggish, so he likes to be behind the leg, was to just ride his bum. So we kind of call it like the back engine, the engine in the back. So I was just riding that, not really worrying about the front so much. So that was part of it. And then the other part that Rich really focused on, like he was saying to his student in the video, he'd say eyes, eyes, eyes. So I kind of had that echoing in my head. But even more so, what I really liked, because I was watching the video and I thought, maybe that's a little exaggerated. Like, I don't usually think of myself as somebody who's constantly looking down, but this is, taking that concept of looking up straight ahead of you and where you're going and then exaggerating that. And so while you might just look straight ahead of you, or I might look at the post up there, I'm going to look at the treetops, or I'm going to look at the sky. So you're actually looking way up. And so sometimes that exaggerated looking up is going to help you maybe just stay, somewhere in between. But what he was saying was, we know that the horses carry about 60% of their weight usually on their forehands. They don't need us to be up there. And I'm a forward type rider, but it's about sort of carrying your own head. Like our heads are pretty heavy themselves, as are theirs. So, you might not think about looking down or slouching and all of that, but, if we are making a conscious effort to go even above that, to exaggerate it, really look up, then hopefully everything comes back. So what I was thinking about, taking that even a step further, was that your posture, we know that posture can actually affect your mental state. So just like the way that if you smile, even if you were in a neutral mood, that can actually increase your mood. Same way with your posture. If you're looking up, if you literally have your chin up, it can affect your confidence, your mood, and your ability to tackle issues, say, like if something comes up in training. So working with a horse who's, first time I've been on her, literally just got on her right before this video, and if I'm slouched and going down and looking straight down at her, and sometimes we will look at them to sort of gauge their reactions because you can see it in their ears and all of that. But like really thinking about staying up and back, then that might actually affect my ability to influence her and therefore influence the outcome of the ride. I thought that was really neat. So definitely a good thing to keep in mind when you talk about riding a horse's engine in the back, which is not so necessary with a horse like this. I mean, any horse can benefit from it, don't get me wrong, but like with a sluggish horse, you're really thinking about that, going over poles, like that's a great exercise if you have one like that. So you're not going to worry about their head so much, you're just going to worry about trying to keep them in front of your leg, keeping them forward. So you can do that with a more sluggish horse, but I want to play around with this mare a little bit so you guys can stop listening to me just talk, and let's see what she does. And I'll try to keep in mind posture and keeping my eyes way up. So let's see what she does. So you can see she's a little wiggly. That's not a problem. I'm not expecting that much from her in this first ride. I'm going to be riding a little more defensively. And what I mean by that is sort of really closing my arms, closing my hand, and I ride like relatively loose and with a relatively open hand, but I'm going to really close my seat, really have my heels down, really have my legs on. And you know, she's a forward mare. I don't really need to worry about like kicking her forward or really getting her forward, but you can see she's actually getting stuck behind my leg because she's really apprehensive. So I'm going to close my leg. Big difference between just doing that for forward movement and doing that as a measure to just keep them moving in front of your leg. Because if she's bottling up, I don't want her to take to the sky. So I'm going to try to keep her right in a place that's sort of balanced, not really behind my leg and bottling up, not really running in front of me. And meanwhile, with my hands, I'm going to squeeze the reins like I would a sponge. You're not going to seesaw, but I'm going to keep my hands up. I'm not going to lock my arms down because that's breaking the line of communication. So I'm going to show you actually the difference. So I'll do that. I'll exaggerate it. Really keeping my arms down. And what she's doing is she's bracing against me. So I'm locking my hands down and she's just locking her head up and we're not making any progress. So I'm going to lift my hands. I'm going to keep my elbows a little more loose. I'm going to try to keep that line of communication. So I have a straight line from my elbow to her mouth. And she's starting to relax. And all I'm doing is, like I said, squeezing. So like little pulses. So I'm literally just pulsing the rein. So I'm not pulling, I'm not giving her anything to brace against. Good girl. When she drops her head down, I give her a release. And then I ask again. It doesn't have to be constant. Again, we're not asking for perfection. But you can see I'm able to ride a little bit looser. I'm getting a good feel of her, so I don't really need to lock down. And I might take a defensive seat sitting, get her to move off my leg again. So it's a dance. But this is good. She's looking at everything. She's not had any really big reaction. Just taking it all in. So again, people sometimes try to lock down and you see she's just bracing against me. So maybe I'll do what you can really see. If I am really locking down, and this is again, it's really exaggerated. Locked my wrists, I've locked everything down. She's just bracing against me. If I lift my hand, close my leg. Okay, she dropped right down. Pretty quick. And I'm able to be really loose. So she's gripping on the inside a little bit. My leg in front of my, and then my hand's there to support, and I'm just pulsing. And I can see that she's a little anxious, no big deal. You really don't get after them, just move off from it, because if you want her to think it's no big deal, you have to act like it. All right, and we like the sneezing. So for that is showing me that she's releasing. We're warming up, and she's fine. She can good pat her neck, patting a break, and so hopefully as she sneezes and gets just not all over me, she's actually starting to limber up. So again, if I ask her a little more, I'm gonna try to get her a little more in front of my leg. So I'm asking for more energy, but directing it, and she'll have a little bit of figuring out to do, which is fine. But there we go, a little tiny drop, good girl. And so I'm just gonna try to keep her moving forward. Good girl. Good. So now what I'm doing, I'm trying to build this partner. Like I am finding the ground out and realizing that if she works with me, it's really easy. You see my reins are pretty loose. You know, when she tests the limits, forward, backwards, side, she meets resistance, but not that much, and move past it pretty quickly. So, let's see. Now that I feel like a little bit better, let's see if I can do this. So, I keep my body language really up and back, looking at the sky. We can sort of march forward. We'll see how she reacts. She said, okay, let's go, lady. You are ready. Good. Awesome. Well, taking in the beautiful bluegrass sky. Very confident. Good girl. All right, I'm going to exaggerate going the other way now. So, say I'm looking down and I'm slouching. A different kind of forward. She said, okay, she's not ready for this. She said she doesn't know what she's doing, so I'll just go. I'll just leave. Okay, so I'll sit back. And sitting back, again, if we're engaging everything, you want to engage the pelvis too. You want your pelvis to tilt more towards the sky. I'll get everything sort of put together. As sometimes in the professional career, you do it so much, you kind of let things slack and have somebody yelling at you all the time. So we'll put it all together. Try to have a little more confidence in our posture. Literally look up, maybe exaggerate it. Okay, we're marching around. She's feeling forward, but kind of like she's marching into a battleground too. Like she's feeling confident. And you know what? Maybe it's placebo partially, but whatever works for you. So let's exaggerate it again the other way. Let's just look right down. I'm gonna slouch a lot, sort of look down at her, and she's just like, yeah, no, this lady is not gonna ask anything of me. So there we go, a little micro experiment. Try it on your own. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So to review, because I think I threw a lot at you. One, we're meeting this lovely 4-year-old mare who retired with no known injuries. She just wasn't competitive anymore after 8 starts. So 4 years old, mare named More Moet, please. Moet. It's a champagne. Somebody's going to correct me on this, I know it. More Moet, M-O-E-T, please. And what? Moet. There you go, Erica, thank you. And then please is spelled P-L-E-E-Z. So here she is. She's in training. She's not up on our website yet, but you can see horses who are currently available at horseadoption.com. You can check out the horses available on the horses tab. So hopefully she'll be joining those horses up there soon. I think she's a really smart, athletic gal. She just needs the right kind of person to work with her confidently and bring her along well. You can tell she's not a real threat. She just really feeds off of confidence, body language, all of that. I think she's a horse who could probably scare a more novice rider, but she's really cool. I think she's got a lot of talent. So try exaggerating your eye placement, looking way ahead, riding the engine in the back. See if you can't get a nice light ride out of that. I know I did with my horse Gozer. We also went over some tips for if you're working with a horse who's really new to the training, especially one who's sort of bubbling with energy like she is, maybe being able to relax their head a little bit. I know there have been a lot of questions about how we work to get their head down, not just down, but engaged, sort of a true give, non-artificial give. So that's a little insight into that. But hopefully you guys gleaned a little bit from the trainer tip today. And let me know how it goes. We'd love to hear if you try that. How'd you like it? You can tag us in your own post, and hopefully you guys have more ideas for next week, or else we'll just keep trying to find ways to entertain you. So make sure that you are getting notified when we have live videos. They're not as routine as before, but we'd love for you to check out everything we've got when it comes along. This is More OA, please. Hopefully you'll see a lot more of her in the future. So thanks for joining us.